Negotiations between the city and its Firefighters Association stalled weeks ago. The two sides decided to let voters make a decision, or the city decided to let voters make a decision, and early voting starts Monday. City Manager Tommy Gonzalez reminded El Pasoans today in a news conference that it's going to cost. The question is how much? The city made public its latest proposal to firefighters today, hoping to get it settled before a vote. The fire union referendum would impact the owner of an average $124,000 home by a total of more than $57 over the next 3 years, according to the city. The city's option would have less than a $5 impact over the same 3-year period, but the city recently made another offer, and that would cost an average homeowner $30 over the next 3 years. For firefighters, the large majority who have insurance through a buy-up family health insurance plan, the city's new offer would mean an increase in their bi-weekly payment from the current amount of $122 to $290 later this year, growing to $358 in 2016. $447 in 2017. Remember, these are bi-weekly payments. And $547, equal to what police officers pay by 2018. As part of the deal, the city is also offering a wellness plan to firefighters that could earn employees up to $150 a month toward these costs.
This community needs to hear this loud and clear, the city of El Paso. I'm talking about the residents. They need to hear that health care is an issue across America, and it starts in cities. And not just the city, I'm talking about like private sector organizations too. It starts in communities and cities like El Paso. And so we have to do something about it.
And joining us now for all of this, Paul Thompson, Second Vice President of the El Paso Firefighters Association. Thank you so much for joining us, Paul.
Thank you for having me.
So what are your general thoughts about the city's latest offer to you all?
Well, we met with the mayor and his team approximately 3 weeks ago. We had 4 meetings. They were very positive meetings. I can say they were probably more productive than the last 10 months of bargaining with the city and their team of lawyers. That being said, it still has the same insurance as you talked about right now, tied to it. So bottom line, their offer, it would give a entry-level firefighter a 1.5% pay raise, a top step firefighter, a veteran who has been on for about 10 years or more, would get a 6.5%. But bottom line, the majority of guys would only get that 1.5%, and it's still tied to the same insurance plan.
Yeah, and that's the main point that you guys, I think, from the sense I get, really have an issue with. You mentioned today how benefits are often more important than pay for a lot of firefighters. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Historically, insurance for firefighters has always been more important per se than wages and salary. We've actually bargained away other benefits to keep our insurance low and our premiums what they are now. Mainly, the main reason is because of what we're exposed to on the job, mainly cancer. Our rates of cancer are the highest among any work group out there. I've been on the job over 17 years. I don't know of any firefighter yet that has had his cancer covered under workers' comp. So he has to use his own insurance to go ahead and pay for the treatments.
Mm-hmm. Now, you believe that the city's plan to raise your health insurance rates over the next few years essentially equals a pay cut for you all? Because you would be paying significantly more for your health insurance?
Correct. At the end of the 3 years term, a entry-level firefighter would be paying roughly 1/3, almost, it's approximately 40% of his pay toward insurance. And so it's an issue. It's one of our big concerns right there. Bottom line right now, we pay about $3,000 a year for the buy-up. That would go to about, after 3 years, it would grow to about $13,000.
Right. But for taxpayers who say, we appreciate the job you do, but you should pay the same amount that police pay for their health insurance and what civilian city employees pay, which is what the city is proposing. What do you say to that kind of comment?
Let me address both. Let me address both. The civilian employees. You know, unfortunately, the civilians, they don't have the right to bargain for their rights. So whatever the city tells them they're going to pay in their insurance, whatever they will get in raises, obviously comes from the city. Us in PD, we have the right to collectively bargain for our benefits and wages. So in reference to PD, what I will say is that we don't make as much as PD. Entry level, the gap is about 10%, and as you go up in their ranks, that gap grows to about 30%. So for example, their assistant chiefs actually make more than our fire chief.
Right, so you're saying you can't pay the same insurance rates as them because you get paid significantly less.
Well, I mean that, and also the fact that we don't bargain for PD. They have their own bargaining unit and all that. And you know, the city manager and the city, they've done a really good job of trying to compare us to the civilians, and also to PD, saying that PD took the insurance. But the minute we bring up the salary comparisons, the city says, well, you know, we shouldn't talk about that or compare that. It's probably not fair.
Another part that I think hasn't been discussed is this drug testing. The city's option says that there should be zero tolerance, that a firefighter should get fired if he tests positive in a drug test. And in the referendum, it says that the fire union's position is that they should be given a second chance. But you say that you guys don't really have an issue with that?
No, we don't. I think what's important to know on the issue of drug testing, number one, the union, we do not condone the use of drugs. We are actually for a random testing policy. As a matter of fact, about 6 months prior to bargaining, we formed a committee. In that committee, we actually came up with a policy. It was a committee of our peers, fire admin, some personnel from the city. And in this committee, what we wanted was a rehab component. And what that does is the minute you test hot for drugs or positive for a drug, you would be suspended without pay for 30 days. You would then have to enter a rehab program. You would have to complete that in 6 months. At any point after that, if you ever test positive again, then you would be terminated. We just feel the amount of money, energy, and effort that goes into training a firefighter. Also the fact that we have to deal with stress on the job, PTSD, similar to the military. I think it's very important to have that component of rehab. The city feels otherwise. They feel it should be, you know, basically if you test positive, you're terminated. But bottom line, we don't have an issue with it. It's not something that, I mean, we're actually for the random testing part of it.
So why not remove it from the ballot before it got to this point?
That wasn't up to us. That was up to the city. The city chose to keep it on the ballot.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Paul. We really appreciate it. I know you'll be here Sunday night for ABC 7 Extra. We'll be discussing this. So we look forward to speaking to you more extensively then. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back. Stay with us.